I'm MARCIA DACOSTA. I'm an ordained minister, and it's a great privilege to talk to you again today. I've been a Christian for over 30 years, 33 years, 34 years, and I've been great. It's been a great thing in my life for all those years. There were years that I didn't believe in God. I ran the other direction. I thought that God was for when you get old and got one foot in the grave and you need your ticket to heaven as an old person. I'm grateful to this day that God didn't leave me that way. My experience really of God has been, that I was running to Eastern religion, and I literally had a living experience of Christ in my sitting room one Saturday, one weekend, those years ago, and it changed my life totally. It changed me. Now, is there a role for religion? Religion is, I suppose, different belief systems and different doctrines. As a Christian, I would say I've worked with many people in the last 35 years in the career that I had been in social services. And the interesting thing for me, I've worked in messes and different situations in people's lives. Most of people wear a mask. People look wonderful on the outside. There's a lot of stuff going on the inside. People don't have peace. The amount of people on tranquilizers, mental health problems, the mental health field is the greatest spend in the National Health Service. The greatest spend is mental health. People are suffering, deeply unhappy, deeply in pain, deeply traumatic by life's experiences. Forgiveness, bitterness, have no forgiveness, feel unloved, low self-esteem, abused. Oh, the level of abuse, the kind of abuse I've seen in my life's work. People not even believing that, no wonder Jimmy Savile can get away with things, because people don't believe them. They never believe them. And they never believe them. To this day I will sit and tell a parent that uncle so-and-so or grandfather so-and-so or your brother or whatever is abusing your child, and they'll still tell me no. They don't believe it, and the child's lying. So, there's so much going on in society. So, religion, doctrines, I'm not sure, but I know in society there's a place for God. There's a place for God because God through Christ, because Christ is the Prince of Peace and He promised peace. Where people are tortured and tormented through unforgiveness, they're tortured and tormented through life's experience. They have no peace, even because they think they've done something and they can't forgive themselves. Christ came to give peace. He came to give forgiveness. Let me tell you, I've experienced His forgiveness so many times in my life, and I can tell you today, it's real. It's real. The Prince of Peace and the peace that passes all understanding is so real when you've been forgiven. The love of God, I've experienced the love of God. The love of God is just amazing. To realize it's real. He is real. To me is the biggest thing in my life, to know that He's real. When this Christ came to me, I thought, wow, I was pinching myself. Scales fell off my eyes, because once I was blind and now I can see, and I wanted to run up to everybody and shake them and say, He's real, He's real, this is really, really real. The joy that I experienced and the peace and just felt clean. I never felt that I could ever be forgiven for blotting my copybook. But when the Prince of Peace came in and to forgive my life, I felt so, so clean. It was just an amazing experience, and it continues to be an amazing experience. That even when I go wrong, even when I do wrong, I come to Jesus and I say, Lord, I've done it, I've admitted it, forgive me. And it's just like having another chance in life after we've blotted the first chance. So the need for God, I'm not a theologian, But I can tell you one thing, biblically I have proved it to be true every time. I have taken those scriptures and principles into my life and proved them that God to be faithful and true. I am so grateful I didn't wait till I was old and got one foot in the grave. And you know, prayer, the power of prayer, it's been scientifically proven. I've seen so many articles in it over the years, scientifically proven that people who get prayed for get better. I've had miraculous healings in my body, my back, you know, in all kinds of areas. My hearing, physically I've been prayed for, and the joints that wouldn't move. The amazing healings that I've had in my life, I can only testify to the greatness of God and the love of God in the earth. That God loves people so much. People think because they hate God or because they don't believe in Him, it doesn't matter. But whether you hate Him or you love Him, or you don't believe in Him, He still loves you. It doesn't change that. And I'm always amazed at the love of God for mankind. I really am. I know those out there who will say, yeah, but if there was a God, why does this happen? Why does that happen? I can't explain it all. Some of it is even down to man. Starvation is down to man. Every time I look at those programs for water, for water for third world children, every time I look at the starvation, I think there's some dictator out there who has multi-millions stolen and stored up in Swiss bank accounts and in other places. What are they going to say to God for those children while they've stored up the wealth of the world, and those little children crying with hungry bellies? What are they going to say to God when they meet Him? You know, things like that. And water, the same thing. There's abundance. What are they going to say when, with all this mountain of food that's destroyed in the West? What are we going to say to God when there's food to feed everybody? So when everybody's cursing God and blaming God for everything, okay, it's actually man. It's actually sometimes man, and we don't recognise that we too are to blame. The richer countries upon the poorer countries. Draining their resources, taking things and not paying for it constantly. There's so many things that go on in the world. I've learned, you know, as you get older, I've learned things in life that says things are not always what they seem. That's one of the things. And then with Solomon, I love the saying of Solomon. Something I've learned as I've got older. There's nothing new under the sun. Absolutely nothing new. So I want to say that faith is important. People think faith is a crutch. Why do I need a crutch? No, it's not a crutch. We need a pathway through life. We need to have direction. We need surety in life. Everything fails. Look, the bankers failed us. Our pensions are affected because of the bankers. The dishonesty, everybody's out for their own. The business people, they failed us. The economy has failed us. The prime ministers failed us. Things fail us, but God is sturdy. He will never fail. He will never fail. He's a benchmark, a plumb line that doesn't move, and says, this is the way, walk ye in it. So as we're searching, people are searching. They may search through different methods. It could be your insatiable appetite for rugby to fill the gap. It could be your insatiable appetite for sex to fill the gap. There's always this God gap in people that they're trying to fill. It could be always trying to make money to fill the gap, needing to be famous to fill the gap, the emptiness. So you're pursuing things in life to fill the emptiness all the time. And that emptiness will never be filled without the gap for God. That's the God gap, the Christ gap in you. It's like when I came to Him, I knew I had found. I knew I didn't have to search anymore. I knew I had the answer. Because Christ said, I am the way, the truth and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. And I live to prove that. I live to experience that. Because I was searching in different places and I didn't find. But when I came to the Prince of Peace, He was the way for me. And He was the truth and the life. And I just thank God. I thank God for the faithfulness of God in my life. But sometimes even when I've been faithless, He's still been faithful. So know that if you're without direction, He will give you direction. People are dying. People are literally dying for love. Our children are dying because there's no one to love them. Other people are dying, committing suicide because there's no one to love them. You know, children are crying because there's no one to love them. The elderly are crying because there's no one to love them. We were sent into the world to love one another, to be community, to be there for one another, to give back to one another. And I just think that my faith has caused me to be a giver, to have compassion. As I have experienced forgiveness, I too have to learn to forgive. Yeah? And that's a hard thing in life.